you this document, some things that you have to think about when building a document, or if you're opening a document when you are going to go ahead and make changes to it. So when you open up the document, here we talked about that you have your regular preview and you have your overprint preview. If you notice here, if you're on the overprint preview, everything kind of looks okay, right? But when you open it up, it's not probably going to open up in the overprint preview. It's going to open up in this preview. So one of the things that you have to think about, if you see this pink on top of text or top of copy, that means that that font is missing. The layout remains the same, but that font is missing. Here where it's white, it's not missing. Like in here on page 3, nothing's missing, everything's there. And page 4, this font is missing. So what you can do, you can do a couple of things. Now usually, because some of these fonts are Adobe based fonts, sometimes it will just ask you if you want the fonts activated. So if you click right here, as soon as I selected the font, if I'm selecting this font, you get that little blue box with the O in the middle. So I'm trying to open type, but it's telling me the properties are not applicable. So if you see up here, it starts spinning, and it's actually looking for the font. So you kind of have to wait until, that could take a while. Sometimes it's really fast. Sometimes it's not at all. So this is what's happening here. What you can also do, so if I select it and I go up to window and I select my character style, my character box, so I know what font it is. I can tell you that just by the name of the font, I'm pretty familiar with it. That's not going to be in the library, in the Adobe library, so it's not going to find it. Here, you can tell that it's looking for it because it's. So what you can do, you can actually, if it's a font that that you just have, make sure you upload it to your computer. And then once you upload the font to your computer, this will automatically update. Now you have to have the right font in here because it changes the layout and the presentation of the document. Don't just ignore that. It's very important. It's like right here on the first page, it looks like that travel company. It looks like some kind of logo. You have to use the font that it was provided for that. Now, why? Here's another question. Why would anyone give you a logo that is not done in vector? Maybe somebody didn't have a logo and you're creating a temporary logo, and for some reason it wasn't creating in Illustrator. Logos are usually created in Adobe Illustrator. So they're usually vector graphics. Usually you have to import the photo and you have to worry about the logo. It was not done in this case. So you want to make sure that you have the right font. If you don't have it, you look in your computer. You want to ask the client or whoever gave you this file, you want to ask them for the font. So you're just going to keep that in mind. What font is this also? This is also a font called Ingra. And you see how it has those brackets around here in the character? That means that it can't find it. But again, it continues to look for it. Okay, another thing that you have to think about. Okay, so this image, if you place an image and then you place it to the size of the document, okay, you have to actually add a bleed to it. Any image or any text that you bring all the way to the edge, you have to add a bleed. And what that means is, like, when it goes to the printer, the printer has enough room to cut down the paper, and if it shifts a little bit, it's not a problem because there's extra image. So a lot of times what you just have to do, you have to bring this out about 1/4 of an inch. Or sometimes people require, like some printers may say like 1/2 an inch, but you just have to bring it out here. Now you can see that you can see where the edge is, but this is where the bleed is. Now notice where the text was placed. Remember how I told you to at least keep that 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and this is exactly what they did here. Things to keep in mind here, and let me go to the overprint preview so we can look at it clear. Look at this image; it bleeds at the end. Like this, they added a bleed in here. Look at the size of the font, and this is a good reference because when I mentioned before that when you're starting out, depending on the font, people seem to do things that are really, really large. Okay, prioritize what's important on a page. So this header is traveling style to places near and far. So traveling style is the most important thing. Places near and far is not as large, but it's large enough that it can stand alone. Here's an inspiring thought. And then we have family vacations and we have adventure vacations. This space between the adventure and where the paragraph starts is the same space here and here. Also, even though there's that 1/2 an inch all the way around, if you notice here, they actually created and gave themselves an additional 1/4 inch from that line to here. You don't have to do that, that's just part of their design. But look at this imaginary line, and I'm gonna pull in a guideline so you can see. Look how all the text just lines up perfectly. And I can guarantee you that in order to achieve that, they brought in a guideline and probably deleted it later, but everything lines up, it's clean, everything is where it's supposed to be, it makes sense. Every single page has something that is important, and it's suiting, it's nice, and it's suiting to the eye. The box here, here's a list of exotic destinations. Those are a little bit more important than the copy down here. But again, it's easy to follow. Cover page. Some of them have, even though all the images are laid out differently, they all have a bleed of some kind. This one bleeds in the bottom 3 edges. This one bleeds in the top 3 edges. This one bleeds on the right. If you notice, this font is all consistent all throughout the document. The headers, the type treatments, like the first one, we sell experiences. This is all consistent to the same look all throughout. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind. So as you learn the skills, just know that it's just not about learning the skills. It's also about how you apply them. And I mentioned before, as you can find something on the internet and you try to recreate it, but it is the attention to detail that takes your piece from like done to complete. Keep in mind where everything is placed. Everything has to make sense. So, thank you. Bye.